Hi guys, thank you very much for joining me. Polina talking to you about you and the full moon transit on the 3rd of November. It is now the 29th of October, so I'm doing this quite early, and the reason for this is because I'd like to get things straightened out very fast for you guys, because we got the Halloween coming up on the 31st. It is such a clear time for work. It is a beautiful time to manifest. It is such a perfect window coming up to the 3rd and beyond the 3rd to really get things in order, to get things alive, to get things living that are to live in the new cycle, and to allow things to just, fall on their face if they're not living. So it is very much the husk from the grain type of time. It is an incredible time to really harvest the best ideas and the best outcomes and the best possibilities and opportunities for you at present, and to not look any further. It is a really nice time to regenerate old ideas that have come to be and were lucrative for you, but only if you truly know their place. Truly, if they been and are to become something better, you can create something from the past here, but also stick to your guns if you've decided to do something new. So very nice to really have a look at what's available to you and what are the types of opportunities and the types of power that they can give to you in the future, because it's all about power here. Jupiterian Scorpio, wow. The best idea I feel at the moment is not to look back. Not to look back unless you are reminding yourself of something that really worked well. For example, I used to have a store and I sold these types of products and they sold really well. Perhaps you don't want to have the store now, but you can import these types of products again and sell them again, perhaps online. Another really interesting thing about this transit is domination of one another, dominant feelings towards another person, or a domination of your own space. It is a very good time to try and create as much space around you as possible to be able to be domineering without remorse. So for example, if you really want to play with life, if you really want to sculpt and mold your life however you like to do it, create the space to do that. So for example, if you've got an empty house and you've got so many different walls and you can fill them with art, dominate your walls with art. Or say for example, you've got so much space, you've got a big backyard, run around in your backyard, do things. Really nice time for sport and recreational activities. Really good time to get your stamina going. Nice time to go to the gym. Very good time to start creating the cycles for a long haul. So for example, if you wanted to have a resolution for the next few months to make greater progress with your yoga practice or with your sport or gymming practices, it's a very nice time to do that. It's a good time to create as much space as you can without getting in anyone else's space and without taking anybody else for granted for what they do or do not care to do. And another thing is very good to stick to your own. If somebody just sort of shows up and they're there and it's easy, that's fabulous and that's fantastic. But if things aren't really coming your way, and if you're still on this like unnurtured path of somebody who's not loved or who's not cared for, just stop this right now. This is a really nice window to basically get your pyramid, like get the pinnacle of your life sorted, get this clarity about who you were and where you've been and how much you've done and what you're going to do next and what is the point or the purpose of the things that you've done in your life. Pinnacle things and just go for it. Really nice time for discovery. Truly amazing opportunity for investment, financial, monetary investments. Really nice to invest yourself into something or even somebody. If you, for example, are a trainer and you're bringing up a new prodigy, it's a really good time to invest. However, if you're investing in somebody who is not wanting to move, who doesn't really want to care, who doesn't really want to become or discover, it's not so good. So definitely with investment, it has to fly. So whatever you put into a person, whatever you put into a business, or whatever you put into yourself during this time, you have to know what can and what cannot live. So husk from the grain. We're in the rooster year, husk from the grain. So discern and define for yourself what you know and what you don't quite yet understand, perhaps about your business or about your tactic in life, or about how you are with people, or how you are as a personality, how you are as a person, how you are as a salesperson, how you are as anything, how you are as a creator, how you are as an executive, how you are as a doctor. It should all sort of come to a nice point. We are talking power, we're talking stamina, we're talking business, we're talking pleasure, but only for those of us who have done everything that we could have in the last year, and we've overdone ourselves so much that we can actually relax, lay back, watch it all happen, and enjoy a nice martini, you know, that kind of thing, or like a glass of orange juice, whatever your poison is. So basically, this is a really, really beautiful time to relax and unwind, only for those people who really, really, really have become completely closed. It's like there's been closure reached, and there's almost no more that we can do. And this is a really beautiful time for those who have retired and who have completed their businesses, completed the situations. But the more you are outward about it, the more other people can get strange. So if you are somebody who's completed something and you're already feeling like there is nothing else you can do, you have outdone yourself, you have, and all of us on some level have, but only maybe on one level, but not on other levels. If you're looking at yourself and you're saying, oh my gosh, I've outdone myself, I've actually done so much that there is no more for me to climb for. There is nothing for me to esteem myself towards. That is perfect. And if you are there, it's really, really good not to use that with people, because sometimes when a person knows that you've got a power, or when people see that you've done your business and you've completed, be very, very, very good to yourself and not show off in front of other people, and keep it sort of like secret even from yourself perhaps, but really enjoy something. So it's really nice to lay back, enjoy, and create sort of like an air of sophistication and class and beauty around yourself, because it's a really beautiful time to do that. Another thing, a new little thing, is jealousy. Jealousy and perseverance with other people's things is a must for some. I'm feeling that if people don't know what they're doing, sometimes they will stop you from doing your thing, and they'll try to define you or try to decipher you if they're not quite yet classed within their own system. It's like a very interesting pyramidal thing here. And yeah, it does sound a bit Illuminati-ish, but it's not really about that. It is basically about climbing to the top of where you could be in your scheme of life. And we are talking power, we're talking Scorpio. If you don't want to play those games and you're saying, I'm just a simple man or woman, I just like to live a very simple life, that is very good. It's also very fabulous if you're not selling, if you're not buying, if you're not structuring, if you're not making any websites, you're not making any plans for the future, if you are not thinking about how you can connect. That's perfect. That's good as well. If you've been undone, and if you've been and gone, and for some reason your soul doesn't any longer want to play those games, and if you just want to live in the countryside, or if you want to create a nice environment where you don't bother anybody and nothing bothers you, and there is nothing at all in this world that enters your mind that bothers you. Like you don't think about the government, you don't think about your ex-boyfriend, you don't think about your ex anything. You're just using your time to enjoy. Wow, you're a weirdo, but you're aware, and this is not for perhaps many people, because sometimes we cannot notice, but we actually go dormant during this time. We think we have it, but we don't have it. So having a look at what bothers you and what you still stand for is really good, because it's a really nice time for standing and for pinnacling, creating a pinnacle, or creating some kind of like almost like a point of interest, or some kind of like a tunnel energy for yourself, which you then can take much further than before. A new thing for me, I think, during this transit is to realize that my potential is infinite. And this is a really, really, I think, a bad place sometimes for people when they never thought that it was. When people had a very small understanding of themselves, and all their life they've been putting things together very, very, very cautiously, and then to get to this point where you understand I'm actually infinite, and this is just the beginning. That's a very, very weird, scary thought sometimes for us when we've been putting ourselves aside for a long time, and then the whole, how can I say, the whole formation of our reality pivots, and we've got a much wider ergonomic flow to work with. We've got a much wider reality spectrum to dance with, and this means that we've got to make larger moves, we've got to have bigger feelings, we've got to generate a larger energetic outcome. But then there's lots of different people that will say, I just want to retire at this point of my life, I just want to retire, and this is as much as I need to feel good about myself, which is fine, which is as well good for the soul. But however you are, whether you want to take things further and build them up, or if you are sort of looking at your life almost like the hero, even without maybe the pinnacle or with the pinnacle, but not wanting greater heights, that's a really, really beautiful thing as well. But it is your choice as to how you are delegating this time, because it feels to me that unaware manifestation is at its potentest point right now. So unaware manifestation, unaware miracle creation, unaware pulling things from the ether and putting them into something. And this is how come I'm choosing this time around to have a point and not to relax, because it feels to me that this point is going to help us put everything into the same into the same reality. So if you are without a point, without a focus, and without that intense emotional outpour during this time, sometimes we can say things just because. We can make a joke and that it comes true. We can, if we are not sound in a mind, or we're not completed somehow as a person, make a shot, or call the shots, and then see that they actually come to fruition later, and we were just joking. We didn't actually mean anything, and then it actually comes to be. And things like, oh yeah, haha, how funny it would be if my ex turned up here and this person could, you know what I mean? Or you could say, haha, how great would it be if I got to travel the world and did this and did that. So like the flight of fancy, especially if it's not constructive to you, sometimes can become reality. And we're building so much here. It feels to me that some people are going to start on like a 7-year cycle here. So like a little throwaway word, a little phrase, a little flirtation with reality. Something kind of festive and kind of throwaway can become permanent. So this is why I'm focusing, or I'm using this time to learn to focus on my own business and not to develop any more stories that are aside from my world, aside from my life. So that's something very important as well, because it feels to me that if we're not focused, or if we're not driven during this time, sometimes we can have our mind, or like almost like these tentacles, like in all these different places, like, oh, wonder what Susanna's doing. Oh, who are you? Who are you? Like, oh, meeting new friends. Not a great time to meet new friends right now. Not because it's not good. It's just not the right time for that kind of thing. It's just not a good time to get curious about people. And this is because things can be really upside down for us, and for them it could be a totally different thing that they look at us for. Like people see different things in each other and different things in relationships that aren't perhaps so. It's kind of like smoke and mirrors, and we can get very confused as to why we go into situations and circumstances. So not a good time for new friends. But if you are somebody who's networking, who's pushing, say, your book across, you're pushing your idea across PowerPoint presentations, you're trying to impress or entrench somebody and trance somebody in your work, this is a really actually good time to do that. But if it is personal, it's not so great. The most poetic and beautiful part, I feel, of this moon is the beautiful soulful energy that we can emit for nothing. Sometimes during this type of transit, and this doesn't sort of sound very often like it happens, like we could be so touched by someone, we could be so touched by a situation, or just by a bowl of fruit standing on the table. There could be a very touching moment or millisecond of the day that changes your life. Anything that's very touching, anything that's very opening, anything that's really surprising. It's like, wow, I never thought of life this way. Wow, I never actually saw that about you before. It's very, very potent. And this is how come I feel it's a very, very good time to concentrate on who you are and who you've been and what you've been trying to do, and to start working with yourself as a finished product as well, or trying to see as much of yourself as you can because otherwise I'm feeling that a lot of people can get pulled into other people's realities. Even, for example, going on Facebook, looking at people's stuff, looking at people's memories, looking at people's photos, being pulled into other people's worlds for nothing, you know, where this energy can be used for something else. So, for example, if you're a musician and you play the piano, every note could be history. Every note could be so powerful. Musicians, visionaries, writers, speakers during this time really get a very nice extra, almost like extra layer of charisma or extra layer of courage, or an extra energy of love, or abundance or bounty or passion or flow. There could be so much more interesting coming out of things like that, out of your own passion, out of your own pinnacle, out of your own focus, than trying to become somebody else's just for the split second. So very, very nice to focus on your work. If you are somebody who loves music, listening to music is really perfect, unless you're listening to destructive music. But it's really, really nice to listen into beautiful songs, beautiful words, beautiful chirping of birds, beautiful sounds of the wind, beautiful sounds of the sea. It's really nice to focus on something, as long as it's kind of right for you, or it's got a global appeal for you and it has been globally yours. Something that's definitely for you, something that's definitely based in your practice, something that's definitely based in your world, and something that's definitely yours. If you wanted, for example, to connect to a larger sum of money, for example, concentrating on the breath, concentrating on joy is going to get you there a lot quicker and a lot healthier and richer than, for example, scheming how to make money. If you are, for example, thinking about your mental health, there's things coming out or coming off, or like if there's like a shedding of you, that's not so good. This is a very, very nice time to start working with that in a different way, perhaps feeling your face, touching your hands, and getting to know your body. That in itself has much more magic and magnificence and how can I say strength, you know, as an exercise, than to go and see a doctor about it. So it's not so good to point yourself in other people's directions unless they're really, really interested in your business. So like they're investors and you're creating, say, a stance in front of them on what you think is a good idea. But say if you are thinking about visiting lots of different people and kind of like connecting to everybody simultaneously, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit over here, a little bit, oh, I'll call up my ex-boyfriend, oh my gosh, and then this person, you can actually shed a lot of yourself on these types of tiny, like minuscule situations that perhaps in the next year may not actually make any sense. So it's really good to structure. If you're like me and you're an entrepreneur, or you're like creating your own business or creating your own product, or you're doing your own thing, very interesting to see another who cannot, how can I say, pass judgment. So for example, a person who doesn't care whether you win or lose, and they don't care how they look in front of you. And say, for example, you decided to become a traveling poet. You decided to become a traveling poet, and you want to inspire people around the world with your poetry. Go see your English teacher. You know, say, hey, Mr. So-and-so, like, I'm writing poems, what do you think? You know, unless you had a turbulent relationship. Or maybe go see somebody who used to know you and they used to also do the same thing, and they've already done something with literature. So somebody who's not biased about your situation. It is very good to see other people in power, unless they're trying to fix you. So if you're seeing a doctor, it's a bit easy to sort of get mesmerized and really lose the point there for both people. But for example, if you are a professional and the other person's a professional and you've got slightly similar worlds, or worlds that can enrich each other, very good, as long as people are looking towards something for themselves. They got their own pinnacles, they got their own power, they got their own idea. Very, very nice time to work with others. A new thing for me also this year in general, and this time coming, this is a perfect conclusion to something. Yeah, we've got so much more emotional memory generating through us. This is a year of conclusions, I feel. I feel that this is a year of concluding things and building yourself up really fast through conclusion. I feel that when I'm looking at how Jupiter and Mercury have been treating us over the last while, we've been offered to shed a lot. We've been offered to just basically forgive and forget and to shed and just throw things out, and to no longer care about what other people do, and no longer care about jobs as much, and no longer care about what other people expected of us during our life together, or however it is. It's a very, very, very weird time, sinister time though, to create suddenly a compelling feeling towards another. So we are in the second half of the year. It's a very, very, very harsh energy to suddenly get compelled with someone when you've cleared out so much, when you've cleared out so much bulk from your life, when you've cleared out your perhaps persistence with work, perhaps your need to make money, perhaps you've cleared out a lot of social communication that you never had to have, perhaps you've cleared yourself up so much. And then suddenly during this time, because we're asked to focus and to accentuate something within ourselves, it is a very, very easy time to just basically bombard yourself with one person only. It's a very, very easy time to just, hey, how's it going? I've been thinking about you. So it's not a good time to do that. It is a perfect energy to start caring more about yourself. And for those of us who have not been accustomed to care for ourselves and not been accustomed to really know who we are, or not have any joy or serenity within our own company, this is not easy. And it is nice to develop that now. So if you can't, and if you do not feel like you can have a situation of seclusion, try to create that artificially, perhaps like those flotation tanks, meditation practice, anything where you can just be by yourself. Also really enlightening to do yoga, to do any kind of situating ongoing practice where you are keeping on. So Zen practice, sewing, cross stitch, seriously making cups of tea, anything you want, as long as it is a centering energy and has got a focal point in which you can dissolve this need to be loved, dissolve this need to be in control of another person, dissolving this freaky wanting or like feeling for another, dissolving a need to get better, dissolving a need to persecute oneself, dissolving a need to jump up and down and do many things at once. So focus and the power of you. Thank you so much. Hope you had fun. I had fun talking to you, and I hope this full moon greets you with respect and appreciation. I really don't feel that Halloween is a good time this year, because this is a very, very, very formative time. This is a really, really perfect time to really get yourself together. It's a focusing energy, and if you're focusing on like Freddy Krueger and the emotional abuse that Halloween has become over the last few decades, I really don't feel that you should, because these types of imprinting times are really important. Time is thinning. Things are becoming more quantum. Manifestation is hella fast. And for that reason, I would definitely suggest not to indulge in Halloween festivities unless you are somebody who can do something and forget about it and not think about it again. So it's not a good time to get involved. And if you are, that's fine. Have fun and have a great time. Thank you so much. If you'd like a reading, or if you'd like to check out my website and the daily prognosis for this week, let me know, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Bye.